They moved through life as if no higher eyes were upon them. They spoke lies with confidence, betrayed trust without hesitation, and walked away from those they wounded without a second glance. In their world, power was silent, and consequences were delayed, so they assumed there would be none. But what they failed to understand is this: just because justice doesn't shout doesn't mean it's not near. They forgot that the one who created time never needs to rush. They forgot that behind every broken heart, every moment of silent suffering, there was a witness not of this world, but above it. And while they turned their backs and wiped their hands clean, God never blinked. He saw it all, and in time he answers, not with vengeance, but with truth. The delusion of hidden actions. There is a kind of false confidence that grows in people who believe they won't be held accountable. When someone lies, manipulates, or causes pain in secret, they often convince themselves that silence equals escape. They think if no one confronts them, then no one noticed. If no one exposes them, then they've succeeded. This illusion of invisibility becomes a foundation they stand on, but what they fail to realize is that it's built on sand. People who act with disregard for others often underestimate the weight of quiet consequences. Just because the world didn't stop when they betrayed someone doesn't mean the act disappeared. And just because no one reacted immediately doesn't mean no one saw. Time may stay silent for a while, but it remembers. And what time remembers, life returns. Those who harm others in the dark often forget that the deepest justice doesn't come from being caught by human eyes. It comes from a higher order, one that watches not only what they do, but who they become because of it. In this world, it's easy to be impressed by appearances. People carry themselves with pride, wear smiles like masks, and keep their secrets hidden behind polished behavior. But what you see on the surface rarely tells the truth. Many who caused harm keep walking confidently, believing they've left the past behind. They think no one will connect the dots. They think no one knows what they said, how they acted, or what they took. But the truth is, nothing truly remains hidden forever. What's buried grows roots, and eventually, those roots rise. There's a reason conscience is so difficult to silence. No matter how convincing someone appears, no matter how rehearsed their excuses are, deep down, the memory of what they did lingers. It visits them when the noise quiets down. It walks with them in moments of solitude. And over time, it starts to change them. The one who once felt proud of what they got away with slowly starts to feel the cost. Not because anyone exposed them, but because the weight within becomes too loud to ignore. Those who have been hurt sometimes wonder if justice is even real. They see the ones who wronged them moving on, laughing, building new chapters. It can feel cruel, as if the world rewards those who forget their conscience. But the truth is more complex. Life may delay, but it does not overlook. And the ones who acted without thought, who mistook silence for safety, will one day come face to face with what they tried to bury. Not because someone brought it up, but because they will no longer be able to run from themselves. They forgot that there is no such thing as a hidden action. Every word, every choice, every betrayal leaves a mark, not just on the person who was hurt, but on the soul of the one who caused it. In the end, it's not about getting caught. It's about being seen, and they were, always. The conscience as divine memory. There is something remarkably powerful about the human conscience. It's not just a moral compass or an internal guide, it's a silent witness. People can forget what they've done to others. They can rewrite the story to suit their own comfort, convince themselves it wasn't that serious, or shift the blame to avoid feeling guilty. But the conscience never truly forgets. It may go quiet for a while, buried under distractions or busyness, but it doesn't disappear. It waits, it remembers, and it speaks not always when it's convenient, but always when it's needed. Many individuals walk away from the harm they caused believing they are free. They change their environment, distract themselves with new relationships, or immerse in work to escape the echo of their actions. But the echo always follows. That's because conscience doesn't stay behind in the place where the wrongdoing happened. It travels with the person. It moves into every new room, sits with them in every quiet hour, and visits them even in moments of joy, reminding them that something within remains unresolved. This is not punishment. It is awareness. And awareness is a form of mercy. It gives a person the chance to reflect, to grow, and to take responsibility. But many resist that mercy because it feels uncomfortable. They want to keep moving forward without looking back. They want to build a future without dealing with what they've done, and in doing so, they begin to feel a slow unrest, a sense that something is missing, something is unsteady, even if everything on the outside seems fine. The memory of what they did may fade from public view, but the conscience does not operate on public terms. It works in silence, and its silence is not approval, it is patience. It waits for the soul to mature enough to listen. It waits for the heart to become soft enough to admit the truth. And when that happens, it speaks sometimes in the form of regret, sometimes in the form of shame, and sometimes in the form of deep sorrow. What they did to others may have been forgotten by those around them. They may have never been confronted, never held accountable in the way the world measures justice, but inside, the truth lives on. Their own conscience becomes the courtroom. The memory of their actions becomes the evidence, and the sentence is not always something visible. Sometimes it's an inner weight they carry for years, one that no one else sees but they feel constantly. For those who have been hurt, this truth offers quiet reassurance. Even if no apology ever comes, even if justice never appears in the way you hoped, know this: their conscience is not sleeping. What they did lives in them. It shapes them, it follows them, and in time, whether through reflection or through circumstance, it calls them back to what they tried to avoid. Because the conscience isn't just memory, it's the voice of something higher. And it never forgets. You were not alone in your pain. There are moments in life when the silence feels louder than anything else. When people hurt you and walk away, when the truth is ignored, and when the ones you trusted treat your pain as if it's invisible, it's easy to believe you're alone. It's easy to think that no one truly sees the depth of what you're carrying. And in that loneliness, something inside you begins to ache, not just from the wound, but from the feeling of being forgotten in your suffering. But what if you weren't forgotten? What if, in those silent nights when the tears wouldn't stop, you weren't as alone as you felt? What if there was a presence, quiet and steady, watching over your struggle, not with judgment, but with understanding? There are truths the world tries to bury, and one of them is this: just because people didn't see your pain, doesn't mean it went unseen. Just because no one stepped in to stop the hurt, doesn't mean you suffered without witness. Sometimes the people who cause the most damage never pause to look back. They move on as if nothing happened, while you're left picking up the pieces. That gap between their actions and your reality can feel like a void. And in that void, doubt creeps in. Was your hurt real? Did it matter? Why was it allowed to happen if no one was there to stop it? The truth is, it did matter. your pain was not wasted. It was not overlooked. It was seen by the one who sees everything, not in a distant or detached way, but in a close, deeply personal way. Every moment you held back your voice to avoid conflict. Every time you kept going despite the weight in your chest. Every time you forgave even when they didn't ask for it. These are the moments that were recorded in silence, not by the world, but by a higher presence that honors what others dismiss. And while they walked away unchanged, you were growing. While they moved on unbothered, you were being refined. Your heart didn't harden, your soul didn't collapse. You stood in the pain and you didn't let it turn you into them. That strength, quiet as it was, has value beyond what words can explain. It didn't go unnoticed. There is comfort in knowing that the one who watched you suffer also watches you rise. You didn't have to announce your struggle for it to be real. You didn't need validation from others for your healing to begin. The same eyes that saw your heartbreak now see your courage, and that is a truth that even time cannot erase. So if you ever feel like what you endured didn't matter, remember this: your pain was witnessed. Not by the crowd, not by those who turned away, but by the one who never left. You were never truly alone. You were held even in silence. Delayed consequences are not absence of justice. One of the most disheartening things you can witness is someone causing pain without facing immediate consequences. You watch them speak carelessly, act without remorse, and walk through life as if their actions carry no weight. It's natural to wonder why life allows certain people to continue forward while others, often the ones who were wronged, are left to deal with the emotional aftermath. But the truth is, just because justice is delayed does not mean it is denied. We often expect fairness to be swift. We want the wrongdoer to face the consequences the moment the harm is done, but life doesn't always unfold in straight lines. The reality is, some lessons arrive slowly. Sometimes the very absence of immediate consequence is what gives space for the deeper, more lasting kind of reckoning. What feels like unfair freedom for them is often the quiet beginning of a return they never saw coming. There is a reason time is such a powerful force. Time doesn't just reveal character, it reveals consequences. The choices made in moments of arrogance, selfishness, or carelessness don't simply disappear. They follow the person, and over time, the very life they tried to control starts reflecting back what they once ignored. It might not come in the way we imagined, but it always arrives, sometimes as regret, sometimes as loss, and sometimes as a deep internal restlessness they can't explain. The world may forget, but the soul does not. When someone avoids responsibility for a long time, it begins to create a divide within them. They try to move forward, to build new happiness, but the unresolved past keeps knocking. The truth has a way of resurfacing, and often it doesn't need anyone else to bring it up. It comes back in their relationships, their decisions, their inability to find peace. That's the nature of true justice. It doesn't just correct what happened, it transforms the person who caused it. For those who have been hurt, it can feel like there's no end to the injustice. Watching someone thrive after hurting you is a quiet pain, but in that silence, there is also a quiet process taking place. You're not just waiting for consequences to find them, you're healing, you're growing, and unlike them, your journey is rooted in truth. That truth gives you strength, clarity, and a future that isn't built on running away from what happened. Justice that takes time often reaches deeper than justice that comes instantly. It doesn't just respond to the action, it shapes the soul. It allows the person to confront themselves, to feel what they tried to suppress, and to finally see what they once refused to acknowledge. So don't mistake the silence for absence. Don't confuse the delay with injustice. Life has a way of catching up not out of revenge, but out of balance. And when it does, it doesn't just level the scales. It reveals the truth in a way that no one can deny. Your healing is also witnessed when people hurt you and continue on without ever acknowledging it. You might feel like the pain you went through didn't matter. You see them living, laughing, and building a future as if your struggle never existed. That can create a deep sense of abandonment, not only because of what they did, but because of how easily they seemed to walk away from it. In moments like that, it's easy to believe that your suffering was ignored, that your effort to stay kind, patient, and forgiving meant nothing. But it did mean something. It still does. What many forget is that healing is not loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with applause or recognition. It's a quiet process. It happens in the silence of your own mind, in the stillness of your heart, and in the small choices you make every day to move forward without bitterness. And just because it isn't seen by others doesn't mean it isn't being witnessed. There is a higher presence that sees not only the damage that was done, but the strength it took to rebuild from it. Every time you chose peace over retaliation, every moment you resisted the urge to become hardened by what broke you, those were not moments of weakness. They were acts of courage, acts that didn't go unnoticed, even if the people around you failed to acknowledge them. While others might remember only the surface of what happened, if they remember at all, your journey is seen in its full depth. The tears you wiped away alone, the nights you spent trying to make sense of it all, the way you had to teach yourself how to trust again, those are not forgotten by the one who watches the heart, not just the appearance. Your healing carries a quiet power. It doesn't demand attention, but it radiates resilience. It transforms you into someone wiser, stronger, more grounded. And while those who hurt you may never understand the impact of their actions, your recovery is building something far more meaningful than anything they walked away with. It's building you. People often think that only the dramatic moments matter, the confrontation, the apology, the justice served. But there's another kind of justice, the one that unfolds within. It's when you find peace without needing closure, when you grow past what was meant to limit you, when your life becomes a reflection of everything you chose to rise above. That transformation, though quiet, is seen. It matters. You are not healing in the dark. You are being watched not with judgment, but with love, not with impatience, but with grace. And every step forward you take, every scar you turn into wisdom is remembered. So know, your healing is not invisible. It is honored by the same presence that saw your pain, and in the end, that healing becomes your strength, a quiet but eternal witness that speaks louder than anything that tried to break you.